You ever have one of those days where you think, surely life can't get any worse, and then, out of nowhere, someone tries to steal your house? Yeah, that was me, except these clowns were coming from my $280,000 home with $4,800 in fake violations while I was watching my mother die. I'm not kidding. If I hadn't stood up at their packed emergency meeting, flashed my federal judge badge, and watched their whole criminal little scheme collapse right there, well, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you how it feels to bring a room full of thieves to their knees. Picture this: 47 angry neighbors squeezed into our stuffy community center, the kind of place that smells like burnt coffee and Lysol, all under those cheap, buzzing fluorescent lights. Local news cameras rolling. The HOA president is yelling at me to shut up and pay your fines. I reach into my purse real slow, almost for dramatic effect, I'll admit. And I say, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am Federal Judge Patricia Hawthorne." The whole room? Dead. Silent. You could hear a pin drop. Brenda, our fearless HOA president, goes pale as yogurt. Her cousin, the deputy, who she thought would back her up, takes a few steps away. Game over. Now, you might wonder how it ever got to that point. How does a person who spends 18 years as a federal judge, who's seen every kind of scam there is, end up almost losing her own home to a bunch of HOA vultures? Well, let me tell you, it sneaks up on you. A few years back, I was just playing Patricia. Tired. Honestly, bone-tired from the grind of the courtroom, the never-ending parade of crooks and lawyers trying to twist every word. So, when I bought my little ranch home in Meadowbrook Estates, I didn't go advertising who I was. I wanted neighbors, not clients or enemies. It was the kind of neighborhood where nobody asked what you did for a living. That felt like freedom. For almost 3 years, I was just another face waving from the driveway, complaining about Netflix prices, swapping Christmas cookies, the whole bit. Then my mother got sick, terminal cancer. So I dropped everything, took family leave, and hired the HOA-approved lawn guys. Forwarded my mail. And I spent every waking moment 200 miles away, holding my mom's hand as she faded in a hospice room that smelled like hospital bleach and sadness. The day after her funeral, the day after, still in my black dress, still smelling like funeral lilies, I come home to a front door practically wallpapered with certified mail. Sympathy flowers wilting on the kitchen counter. The air in the house had that abandoned, dusty smell. Then I see it. A fat envelope stamped final notice. Meadowbrook HOA. $2,400 in violations. I stood there on my heels, shaking so bad I could barely get the pages out. 12 grass violations. They said my grass was half an inch over the limit. Half an inch, while I was paying their approved contractor. 6 mailbox violations for having the wrong color, which, for the record, matched 47 other mailboxes in the neighborhood. And my favorite, $900 for unauthorized landscaping because I took out a dead rose bush. With written approval, screenshots and all. Every single violation was dated during those last few weeks I was with my mom, when there's a whole team of hospice staff who could tell you exactly where I was. Letter signed by Brenda Kirkpatrick, president of the HOA. 10 days to pay or face foreclosure. 10 days. I called, left messages, chased her through the phone maze for 3 solid days. When she finally answered, her voice could freeze the sun. Violations are violations, Mrs. Hawthorne. Grief isn't an excuse for property neglect. Perhaps you'd be happier in a senior community. If you've ever dealt with that tone, the one where someone's pretending to be sweet, but they're twisting the knife, you know how it feels. But see, after almost 2 decades as a judge, you get this sixth sense for scams. I started looking around. I'd see Brenda's white Lexus parked outside Florence's place, 3 doors down. Florence was 82, just lost her husband, clutching a violation notice with tears running down her cheeks. This wasn't about me. It was a pattern, a business even. My evening walks turned into stakeouts. For sale signs popping up on houses with fresh violation letters. Public records is showing all three sold to KCS Holdings, $40,000 under market value. Trace straight back to Kirkpatrick Construction, Brenda's family. What are the odds, right? And every violation letter, same formatting, same weird space after every period. Like a criminal signature. They weren't just picking on people who missed a spot mowing the lawn. They were targeting people who were vulnerable, grieving, old, sick, just like me, just like Florence. I like to say I went to the authorities right away, but the truth is, part of me thought, maybe I just pay the fine. Maybe it's not worth the fight. Then I got the emergency meeting notice. Crammed into my mailbox, of course. Meeting in 2 days. Rules say 7, but apparently Brenda doesn't care about her own bylaws. The topic? Ongoing violations threatening property values. Translation: let's put Patricia on display and show everyone what happens when you cross us. I expected a dozen people tops. There were more like 50. Room hotter than hell, chairs squeaking, everyone sweating and staring. Brenda at the front like she's Napoleon in a navy blazer. Her nephew Chad beside her with a look that said he'd rather be anywhere else. She starts the meeting, running through photos of my grass, my mailbox, the site where the dead rose bush used to be. Certified inspector, she says, gesturing at Chad. I stood up with my binder. May I respond? Brenda snaps. This isn't a courtroom, Mrs. Hawthorne. Then why am I being tried in absentia? I slapped the binder down, showed them my receipts, photos, email approval. Brenda just waved it off. These could easily be fabricated. That's when something inside me snapped. Nobody ever calls me a liar to my face and walks away with it. I pulled out my phone. For the record, you're proceeding with liens based on violations that occurred while I was 200 miles away, caring for my dying mother, documented by hospice. Brenda tells me I can't record. Actually, I said, I can. State law, single-party consent. And I made sure everyone saw that little red record. Suddenly, people started whispering, she's got a point. Maybe we should start recording these things. And right then, Tom Bradley, a veteran with a sharp eye, slips me a folded paper on his way out. Turns out, he's been tracking this for months. Same pattern, 15 families, 4 sales, all to KCS Holdings. It wasn't just me. This was organized. I hit the courthouse like a woman possessed, dug up property records, HOA budgets, board minutes, found out $180,000 in violation fees. Last year, only $23,000 spent on community improvements. The rest? Consulting fees to KCS Consulting. Brenda's company, under a new name. Even better, the original HOA documents, never changed, never voted on, gave homeowners the right to dissolve the board with enough signatures. All those fines and liens? Legally worthless. But I wasn't the only one waking up. Margaret Morgan, fighting her own $3,200 fine for excessive toys in yard, introduced me to her lawyer, Daniel Rodriguez. He'd seen this scam before, 4 counties, $2 million in stolen home equity. Patricia, be careful. Brenda's got city connections. At that point, I almost laughed. Dangerous? Bring it on. See, Brenda thought I was just a sad widow she could push around. She had no idea. The more desperate she got, the sloppier she became. Certified letters from her brother-in-law's law office, threatening foreclosure. Fake affidavits. Photos of brown spots on my lawn. Said it was dog urine. I don't even own a dog. Then came the real harassment. My lawn service canceled. We heard you're litigious, behind on fees. My pool access card dead. Mailbox key useless. I was being cut off, isolated little by little, but I was done playing defense. I called in the cavalry. We started documenting everything. Security cameras. Signed statements from every neighbor who'd been targeted. Sarah Kim, whose husband worked in city planning, dug up variance permits Brenda had filed on my corner lot. She'd been planning to force me out and build a duplex for months. Tuesday, the meeting room was packed. The air sizzled, half fear, half hope. Brenda strutted in with her deputy cousin, manila folder full of fake charges, and announced I was about to be arrested. The deputy looked nervous. Florence Murphy stood up, tears streaming, confession in hand. Brenda made me sign fake violation reports. She promised me money and threatened my house if I didn't. The whole room exploded. That's when I stood up, badge in hand. My name is Patricia Hawthorne. I'm a United States District Court judge. Brenda looked like she'd seen a ghost. What you've witnessed tonight is racketeering, federal fraud, and violation of civil rights under color of law. The deputy called for detectives. Brenda collapsed. And here's the thing. For years, she'd operated illegally. Every violation letter, every fine, every threat, worthless. All that time, she was the criminal. The FBI showed up 18 minutes later. Brenda, her nephew, her brother-in-law, handcuffed right there on Channel 7 News. Neighbors crying with relief, hugging strangers. As Brenda was led away, she tried to scream, "This isn't over." I looked her right in the eye and said, "You'll find out just how over it is. Federal prison doesn't care about your HOA clipboard." 6 months later, I'm sitting in my backyard drinking coffee, watching kids play in the pool Brenda tried to steal from us. She pleaded guilty, 23 federal charges, 8 years in prison. Chad got 3 years, the brother-in-law 5. $2.1 million ordered back to homeowners. Our new board is open, honest, and fees are down to $35 a month. We started a scholarship fund in my mother's name, and last month we planted a memorial garden where Brenda's duplex was supposed to be. You know what sticks with me? Not just the money or even the headlines. It's seeing neighbors come together, potlucks, community meetings, helping each other through tough times. Bullies don't win here anymore. Even Florence, the woman Brenda manipulated, is now our treasurer, watching every dime. That's real justice. If you take nothing else from my story, let it be this. You don't have to be a judge to fight back. Document everything. Organize. Know your rights. And when they come for your home, stand up. You might be the only thing standing between your community and a predator who thinks nobody will notice. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line between justice and revenge? When someone crosses that line, how far would you go to protect what's yours and what's right? I want to hear your stories. Ever been through an HOA nightmare or seen someone stand up when everyone else was too scared? Share it. Maybe you'll inspire the next person who needs to hear that justice is possible, even when it feels like the whole world is against you.